Cup of tea. Better go easy on this. This is the third take. I'm not going to have any tea left. And then bang goes the intro, which I've been rehearsing. So, oh boy, Star Trek Discovery. What are we going to do about you? Well, we got 2 new wrinkles to the show. I'm not talking about Captain Lorca. Captain Lorca I'm going to give a free pass to, because even though he's the kind of captain we've never seen before in Star Trek, and I'm quoting Jason Isaacs there. Hello, Jason Isaacs. And he's all the things Kirk isn't. He's all the things Picard isn't. He's all the established Star Trek captains that we've seen in the show over the years. Captain Lorca isn't. He's a means to an ends guy, ruthless, and his crew's lives are cheap. But I can basically accept that such a captain would exist in the Star Trek universe, because when you think of all those dodgy admirals that come into the show later on, you can imagine it. And then occasionally something goes off the rails in the Star Trek universe. Dr. Gill, Captain Tracy, Matt Decker, but it's understandable with Matt Decker. Matt Decker's a tragic character. He's not a villain. So I'm going to give Lorca a pass, but I'm going to focus on the Klingons first. Oh boy, they're cannibals now. Although you could argue they're not cannibals because humans and Klingons aren't the same. But this is a new wrinkle to the Klingon race, which we haven't seen before. There's been no precedent. There's been nothing lurking in the background to suggest that Klingons go around eating other sentient beings when they defeat them in combat as a way of disrespecting them. I thought Klingons honoured a worthy foe. So that's what Sarek told Burnham, that if you are prove yourself a worthy warrior, they'll respect you more. But what's her name? Georgie put up a good fight, but lost, so she doesn't get respect. I don't know. We've not seen this before, and the problem is that every time they do something in Discovery that's radically different with the Klingons, it kind of takes me out of the story. So I look at the Klingons and I see there's the holes in the heads. They haven't got hair. The ridges now don't just cover the forehead, they go down the cheeks, across the chin. The nose has been totally redesigned. They are, they range from kind of a weird bronze brown colour to grey. And it's all weird. And it takes me out of the story, because I think, well, they're massively retconning the Klingons here. They're absolute. Every time you see the Klingons on screen, there's something very different from the way they've been presented before, and they don't fit in with what we've seen before. So it's all. I think it's too distracting. Now the cannibalism thing, which we haven't seen before, and Klingons eating other sentient beings. You've got to remember, in the Star Trek Prime timeline, there have been times when Klingons and humans, or Klingons and people who look very much like humans, very similar to humans, get together. They form relationships. B'Elanna Torres from Star Trek Voyager is half human, half Klingon. In Deep Space Nine, Worf and Dax have a relationship, and so you can imagine, humans and Klingons. There can be a meeting point where the species breed. But can you imagine the universe of Discovery, humans and these Klingons breeding? Because the Klingons are now too alien, and I don't know where the writers and producers are going with this. Frankly, every time we see the Klingons, they're just radically different. Something new has been introduced that clashes with what we've seen and known before. And it's very, very strange. The other thing is the spore drive. Now, in looking at the episode, they find this strange insectoid, fungoid alien and they have problems with it, and then they work out it can do the job of a warp drive. It can, it's this technology, and Star Trek's not really gone down the biotechnology route before, except with those sentient gel packs that they use in Next Generation, or is it Voyager, which do sensors or navigation. A Trekkie will tell me what that was all about, but I can kind of remember that. But now we've got this thing, and it's straight out of Dune. It's a Dune Guild Navigator under a different name. And this brings me to the point of how Star Trek, since J.J. Abrams took over in 2009 and now with Discovery, treats other science fiction for inspiration. So you can say, oh yeah, the spore drive is a reference to Guild Navigators in Dune. So, pardon me, but that's not how Star Trek used to crib from science fiction. So what happens is that now, with the 2009 Star Trek film, and with Into Darkness in particular, what they're doing is they're using, say, Star Wars as a template and say, okay, let's get Star Trek to run along plot lines and themes very similar to Star Wars. And now in Discovery, they don't want to do Star Wars. They want to go down different paths. Some of them a lot darker and a lot more twisted than classic Star Trek was. But the thing is that they're taking the gimmicks, they're taking the technology or the gimmicks or the things from other science fiction and putting them into Discovery. Whereas if it had been classic Star Trek, and when I mean classic, I mean from the original series in the 60s through to probably Voyager, maybe even Enterprise, what they would do is that they would take themes from a novel like Dune. So the thing about a native people being exploited for a valuable resource that's on a planet that is overseen by corrupt dynastical families, maybe even a corrupt empire behind that dynastical family. That's how Star Trek would do it. Star Trek would not take the spice itself, or the worm itself, or Guild Navigators, or folding space, or mentats, thinking machines. They wouldn't take those things and put them into Star Trek. What they would do is that they would look at a science fiction book like Dune and say, well, what are the themes? What is it about the setting, or the characters, or the themes that we can reference, that we can sort of do? So they would take other science fiction and Star Trek it. They would have the Star Trek universe, the Star Trek style, and they would take other science fiction. This is why when you get someone like Harlan Ellison coming on board, Harlan Ellison wrote a generic science fiction story for City on the Edge of Forever, and they Star Trek'd it. They just sort of said, okay, Harlan, that's your story, but we're going to make your story fit the universe we've created and not fit our universe around your story. I mean, that annoyed Ellison a lot, but I'm backing Roddenberry, Fontana, and Kuhn on this one. And what Discovery is doing is it's not taking from other science fiction and making it fit the Star Trek universe. I think they're warping the Star Trek universe, pardon the pun, warping the Star Trek universe to fit ideas that they have with other science fiction. And this is the ongoing problem with Discovery, and I can't see how they're going to get out of it. Somebody said what it's going to do is that we're going to find out we're in an alternative timeline, and then they're going to open up a rift, and then they're going to enter the prime timeline at the end of this series. Maybe that's a bit optimistic, but I just don't like where it's all going. It takes me out of the story. So anyway, until next time, my time is almost up. I'll see you later. Lube.